I don't know who really needs to be told this because you seem to have two groups of people primarily that will disagree with me whenever I say there was an apparatus that kept people from saying what the fuck they wanted to say. Yeah, the people that live under a rock and they generally don't know what was happening, in the political sphere, in businesses and companies, in game studios and colleges, that if you said a thing, like say, okay, you don't believe women can have penises, or yeah, men can have uteruses, like J.K. Rowling, like an entire hate mob will just go after her, attack her games or her products. Literally attack her, like treat her as if she's like the devil, right? So you have people that again, they don't really operate online because it's online where you will get these things, but you also have people that are being deliberately dishonest, right? And it's like they know this has happened and they want it to happen. They think it's a good thing, but part of it is to act, is very performative. That's the online term, is this performative act that oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And people, and that's kind of how you get one over on, say, the conservative that doesn't actually really, isn't really online. And it's like, okay, well, they clearly do know, because most normal people will allow for the possibility of what the person that they disagree with, that they're telling the truth. Like, I will allow for the possibility that, okay, what's an opinion I disagree with? That there's like a rape culture in like colleges or campuses, right? I can allow for the possibility, and it's like, okay, well, what's the solution? Well, my solution is, be armed, right? Have your friends, have a couple of bad bitches with you, all armed. Well, not like with guns, because you're not supposed to have that in campuses anymore. Even though, I mean, a lot of the shootings happen in gun-free zones. But again, that's neither here nor there, right? I can give my personal opinion, but again, the solution is have the Smith and Wesson. Like, I'm all for women protecting women. It's like, allow them to have, the big iron on the hip, and I guarantee you, after a couple of cases of self-defense in that, like, it will drop by 90%, right? So I, a normal person, will allow the possibility that the thing that I disagree with does exist and try to pass solutions. But the people that, again, legitimately believe, again, like in sports, you were not supposed to talk bad, ill, or say, oh no, trans women can't compete in sports, because you're told by, your managers, you should not say this, right? There's an apparatus that tells you not to say this. You can't voice your opinion, right? And people will be like, nope, didn't happen. Like, they won't even in their mind allow the possibility that maybe that is something that has happened, or they'll downplay it. They'll be like, okay, maybe it's happened a little bit. It's like, well, I mean, my argument is happening, right? So, what's your opinion on it? So we're looking at this, right? And someone just flashed this to me, right? About how at one point this random secretary guy at first 100% believed that, oh, there's many genders, men can be women, women can be men. But then he's at now, in the current climate, he's being pressured, and he's like, mean, I don't. No, I don't. I don't. Like everything I believed before. Like I got the new software patch, and again, I can explain these things, right? So let's give this a
But
watch.
you are quite pro-trans, aren't you? You've appeared in campaigns and things. I mean, do you think a woman can have a penis? Because you did previously. It's an important question for a health secretary to answer.
No, I don't.
So you've changed your mind?
Yes.
Why have you changed your mind?
Well, I think a lot of us have been thinking about this issue over recent years, and you know, I wouldn't now say that, for instance.
Notice how he's looking dead at her, right? And so, like, most people when they're thinking, they kind of look around. Like, and I can tell you again, he was probably told by his constituents, you know, and by activists and groups that that you will say this. This is the thing you will say. Otherwise, you have to deal with the hate mob, or you'll lose your job, or get ousted, right? And I don't think this is a stupid person. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's giving the PR speak, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, my job was on the line. Like, if I did not say that, it would come back negatively on me.
Trans women are women. I think that biological sex is important.
But you must have known that before. You're very well educated. You went to St Paul's private school, I was reading this morning. How on earth could you have previously thought that a woman could have a penis?
Well, I think this is an issue that a lot of us have thought about in recent years, and I think there's a difference between sex and gender. I think that when it comes to sex, biology is what matters.
Yeah, if you were to say this like 4 years ago, you'd be ousted. And again, there were legitimate like doctors, and there were academics that did say the exact same thing this guy said, and they were suppressed, they were kicked out. Again, it was like a sorority where you had to say the correct thing. The thing is, people don't like living like this. Like, he can do what he did for self-preservation. And now that the tides are turning, it's like now that, the legitimacy has gone away, he can now just straight up say, yeah, this is what I actually like. Again, I think he's just making a good decision on that. I don't know what else to really say about this. I mean, you just give me a random video and you're like, hey, talk about this. I'm like, okay, I'll give my take. I mean, clearly that was the apparatus. Again, it was this way in academia and companies, right? If you want to do business in Hollywood and entertainment, right? This was the culture that, in sports, this absolutely has happened. And he did, the pragmatic thing, like it's easy to demand. Homie throws himself on the sword. But it's like, would you do it? Probably not. Like how many of you would go against your job, go against, the whole diversity bull crap, that happens in your business, and be like, nah, I don't want to do this, and get fired. Like, not many people would do that.
And that's why.
Do you owe women who called for, who were gender critical and then were cancelled an apology?
Look, I don't think people should be cancelled. I think people should be allowed to have their views.
But part of the reason these women were cancelled is because people like you denied biological sex, and then they were hounded on by the trans lobby.
Yeah, and we know this happened. Like there is right now, there's this group on Twitter that's literally just Black Twitter. It is African Americans that, and there's an entire structure behind this, right? About how they go after people. They go after, say game creators. They went after the creator of that anime, Gachikuta. And they go after for specific reasons, like cultural appropriation and all that. There's absolutely no reason why, if you own a business, if you actually create something to go on Black Twitter, because it's just a bunch of hateful people that they don't create anything, they don't add anything, they just go in Discords, form hate mobs. And someone gave me this, like, there's an entire rubric that revolved around how they go after this, how they go after companies, and they'll attack, they'll go down the chain. If they can't do the company, then they'll do things around the company, like the supply chain. Then they'll go after advertisers if you're a creator. They'll go after publishers if you're a game studio, right? Like, there is a formula to this that they adhere to. They have it mapped out, and they do this because of what they'll go after payment processors, like Collective Shout is, right? And right now they're attacking anime because, again, either they're getting paid, but I think people, like, it's fun to form the hate mob. Like, thousands of years have proven that forming the hate mob, forming a mob and walking with them is fun. You get that high of imposing your power, and that's absolutely how they act. And again, if you actually have a business and if you actually create something, create value, there is no fucking reason why you would ever interact with Black Twitter. Like, if you own a business, obviously you're against being taxed to fuck, right? Don't let them know you said that. Oh my God, you'd be next. And and this is just one aspect, right? There are so many other, again, Collective Shout, yet another activist groups of people who, again, they probably don't work. They probably are off mommy and daddy's money. Or hell, they probably do make money. Like, they're probably, council members, senators. Like, they're very connected, right? And they go after people, right? And they would have probably go after this guy, like they're going after Steam. Like, this is how it is done. And it sounds like a conspiracy, but it's like, we know, again, what do you think Collective Shout's doing? What do you think? Like, they're doing the exact same tactics, and these tactics work, right? Why would you not do a tactic that fucking works? And again, this is as old as time itself. We don't have to pretend like this isn't happening. They can never be allowed to live this down, completely disingenuous and gaslighting everyone. No, again, he knows what he's doing, right? He was told to say the thing, and he said the thing. Every millionaire should become health secretary if that's what he believes. Again, the health secretary is being told effectively pseudoscience, right? Biological men are male, biological women are female. Those who don't know their arse from their elbow or have thought about the trans psyop for a few years have no fucking business anywhere near UK politics. Again, honestly, UK politics is relatively fucked, but right, and you have like these academic papers that come out from absolute nobodies. I mean, fucking anyone can make an academic paper. Anyone can, claim to be, authoritative sources, and they'll just form and use these sources to back themselves up, knowing it's garbage. And again, most people don't fucking care for these topics until you make them care. Like, I don't like a trans woman just beating the fuck out of a woman because she's literally built different. Like, okay, she can take all the estrogen on the planet, but she clearly has an advantage over the legacy woman. Like, you have the woman plus, which is trans, but then you have legacy woman, which is woman. And again, in sports, this was front and center in sports. because it's something that you knew felt wrong and was wrong, but you weren't supposed to talk about. Hell, the very fucking competitors that got the shit beat out of them weren't supposed to say anything. They weren't supposed to say that it was an unfair advantage because they would lose their career. Like, their managers would be like, look, you are not supposed to say this, otherwise you're gone. It seems fucked, but I mean, what the fuck is that? I've got to watch.
Well, now look, here's the thing. We know that the Monster Raving Loony Party are running as well. So do you think it's time for a loony bin pact?
Well, look, the fact is, if the loonies and Farage want to fight amongst themselves for the...
No, I'm talking about you and the Monster Raving...
I know you are. I'm making a separate point.
Well, why don't you do a pact?
No, I don't need a pact with anybody. I'm quite happy, thank you.
Well, now look...
What the hell? I mean, that is fitting for UK politics. I'll definitely say this. But anyway, that's my opinion. Like, you know, people, and like I said, people just don't like living that way, even if it is in their interest. And you can see it on his face that he's like, yeah, I'm just going to straight up say it. You know, hey, you know, I'll give the PR speak, but behind his eyes, he's like, yeah, I was made to say this. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say about this. Peace out.